Many men believe that the moment they go no contact, everything will magically change. They think cutting her off will automatically make her miss them, regret losing them, and come running back. This belief is everywhere. Online videos, relationship advice forums, and even friends will tell you, just block her, bro, ignore her. That will crush her ego. While there is some truth to the power of silence, the harsh reality is that no contact alone is not enough to truly shift the power dynamic or crush her ego. Here's why. Simply disappearing does not guarantee that she feels any genuine loss or regret. If you vanish but remain the same person you were when she left you, broken, desperate, and emotionally stuck, then nothing has really changed. She may not even care that you're silent because in her mind, she already knows who you are and how you operate. She has already formed a narrative about you, and silence alone won't rewrite that story. Think about it this way: if you just stopped talking to her, deep down, you're still obsessing over her, checking her social media, replaying old memories, and hoping she notices your absence. You haven't truly detached. She can sense that energy. Even if you don't reach out, she can feel when you're still emotionally chasing her. Women are incredibly intuitive when it comes to men's emotions. If you're still hurting, still seeking her validation in your heart, then no contact becomes nothing more than a temporary pause, not a real transformation. This is why so many men go no contact, only to end up in the exact same position weeks or months later. Maybe she comes back briefly, testing the waters, and you immediately crumble because you never truly changed. She realizes you're still the same man she walked away from, and the cycle repeats. Silence without growth is just an empty tactic. To truly crush her ego, you must understand how that ego was built in the first place. A woman's ego in a relationship often comes from knowing that you depend on her emotionally. She feels powerful when she knows you're always available, always waiting, always hoping. When she knows she can leave and come back at any time. She feels secure in her position of control. Simply cutting off contact does not erase that belief. It only hides it temporarily. The real shift happens when your actions and your energy prove that you've changed. No contact becomes effective only when it's backed by genuine transformation. That means she must see, directly or indirectly, that you are no longer the man she could manipulate, control, or easily predict. It's not just about being silent, it's about becoming silent for a reason. Ask yourself, what is she expecting from you? If she knows you as the guy who always texts first, who always forgives, who always crumbles when she comes back, then your silence might intrigue her for a while, but eventually she'll assume you're just playing a game. She'll wait, knowing that eventually you'll break and reach out. But if she sees real changes in you, changes she can't ignore, her ego begins to crack. For example, if she left thinking you'd be devastated and stuck, but she later discovers that you've leveled up in every area of your life, she'll start questioning everything. Suddenly, her narrative doesn't fit anymore. She expected weakness, but she's confronted with strength. She expected you to be waiting, but she realizes you've moved on mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's when her ego begins to crumble, not just because you disappeared, but because you evolved into someone entirely different. No contact is just the starting point. It's the pause that gives you space to rebuild. But what you do during that silence is what truly matters. If you spend that time sulking, scrolling through her posts, or waiting for her to notice you, nothing changes. But if you use that time to grow, to focus on your purpose, your fitness, your career, your emotional control, you create a new reality where she no longer has power over you. The truth is, silence without self-improvement is meaningless. You can block her number, delete her pictures, and never speak to her again. But if she still lives rent-free in your mind, you haven't really broken free. Crushing her ego isn't about punishing her or seeking revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. When you stop being emotionally dependent on her and start building a life that commands respect, you shift the dynamic permanently. So remember this. No contact is a tool, not the entire strategy. It opens the door, but you must walk through it by transforming yourself. When she sees that you're not just gone, but genuinely different, that's when her ego shatters. Not because you ignored her, because you became someone she can no longer control or define. One of the most powerful ways to truly crush her ego, and more importantly, to free yourself, is by reclaiming your identity and self-worth. Too many men enter relationships without a solid foundation of who they are. They compromise their dreams, their passions, and their individuality just to keep a woman happy. Over time, they begin to lose sight of themselves, becoming defined by the relationship and by her approval. When that relationship ends, or when she pulls away, the man feels completely lost. He doesn't just lose her, he loses himself. This is why breakups feel so devastating for many men. It's not only about heartbreak, it's about identity crisis. Without her, he doesn't know who he is anymore. That's why simply going no contact won't work. Silence won't rebuild a broken identity. If anything, it often makes the emptiness louder. To truly crush her ego, you have to take back the parts of yourself you gave away. This begins with realizing that your value never came from her in the first place. She didn't create your worth. She only reflected how you felt about yourself. If you allowed her opinions and attention to define your happiness, then you handed her all the power. Now, it's time to take that power back. Start by asking yourself, who was I before this relationship? What dreams did I have before I started prioritizing her over myself? What parts of me have I neglected? Most men will discover that during the relationship, they let go of many passions, hobbies, and personal goals. Maybe you stopped going to the gym because you were too busy spending time with her. Maybe you abandoned your career ambitions to accommodate her plans. Maybe you lost touch with friends who were important to you. These sacrifices might have felt like love at the time, but in reality, they chipped away at your independence. A relationship should complement your life, not consume it. When it consumes you, you become dependent on her validation. That dependency feeds her ego because she knows that without her approval, you feel incomplete. Reclaiming your identity means rebuilding the parts of yourself that existed before she came along and creating new parts she never even knew. Get back into the activities and passions that once brought you joy. If you used to play sports, create art, or work on personal projects, return to those things. If you had fitness goals, dive back into training and take your health seriously. If you neglected your ambitions, refocus and set clear, powerful goals for your future. This isn't just about distraction, it's about transformation. Every time you invest in yourself, you send a powerful message to your subconscious mind. I am enough on my own. I create my value. That inner confidence becomes visible to others, including her. When she sees you thriving without her, it challenges her ego. She begins to realize that she was not the center of your world after all. Here's the key. Don't rebuild yourself with the secret goal of impressing her or winning her back. If your motivation still revolves around her, she still controls you. True self-worth is internal. It doesn't depend on whether she notices your growth or not. Do it for you, because you deserve to live a full and powerful life regardless of who stays or leaves. There's another layer to this process, redefining your boundaries. When a man has low self-worth, he often tolerates disrespect, manipulation, or neglect in a relationship. He fears standing up for himself because he worries she might leave. This fear gives her ego more power. Once you reclaim your identity, you must also reclaim your boundaries. Decide what behaviors you will and will not accept from anyone, not just her, but everyone in your life. This shift is incredibly attractive, but more importantly, it is liberating. When you no longer need her approval, You begin to live authentically. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't play games. You simply exist as a strong, self-assured man with his own purpose. And here's where the magic happens. When she sees you standing tall, focused, and fulfilled without her, her ego takes a direct hit. The version of you she thought she knew, the man who depended on her for happiness, is gone. In his place stands a man who is complete and untouchable. This realization doesn't just bruise her ego, it shatters it. Reclaiming your identity is not a quick fix. It requires time, patience, and deep self-reflection, but it is the single most important step you can take after no contact. Because in the end, the most powerful revenge isn't showing her you've moved on. It's actually moving on fully and completely by becoming the man you were always meant to be. When a relationship ends, most men think the hardest part is letting go of her physically, blocking her, not texting, not calling, avoiding places where she might be. And while those actions are difficult, they're not the real challenge. The real battle happens inside your mind. Because even if you never speak to her again, you can still be emotionally attached to her. Emotional attachment is the invisible chain that keeps you tied to her power, even in silence. This is why so many men struggle with no contact. They stop talking to her, but they don't stop thinking about her. Every song reminds them of her. Every notification makes their heart race, hoping it's her. Every social media post triggers jealousy and anger. They replay memories in their head, analyzing every detail, wondering if she's moved on or if she misses them. And in doing so, they remain trapped. Here's the harsh truth. No contact without emotional detachment is just a game you play with yourself. On the outside, you look strong, silent, and mysterious. But on the inside, you're still her prisoner. She still has power over you because she controls your emotions, even without saying a single word. To truly crush her ego, you must reach a point where she no longer has the ability to affect your inner peace. This doesn't mean you hate her, and it doesn't mean you're cold or bitter. It means that you've reclaimed control of your emotions. Whether she texts you, ignores you, flaunts a new relationship, or tries to provoke you, none of it shakes you anymore. She no longer has the power to disrupt your state of mind. Think about what gives someone control over you. It's not their actions alone, it's your reaction to those actions. She posts a picture with another man and you spiral into anger or jealousy. That reaction shows she still controls you emotionally. If she texts you after weeks of silence and you drop everything to reply, she knows you're still hooked. True detachment happens when you no longer give her that kind of emotional power. But detachment isn't something you can fake. Many men try to act indifferent while secretly obsessing over her. They ignore her calls, but they stalk her Instagram. They pretend they've moved on, but they check their phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a message. That's not detachment, that's suppression. And suppressed emotions always come back stronger later. Real emotional detachment requires deep internal work. It starts with accepting reality exactly as it is. She may never come back. She may never apologize. She may never see your value. And that's okay. The pain comes from clinging to what you wish would happen instead of facing what actually is. Once you fully accept the truth, you free yourself from the endless cycle of hope and disappointment. The next step is to redirect your focus inward. Every time you catch yourself obsessing over her actions, bring your attention back to yourself. Instead of wondering, what is she doing right now? Ask, what can I do right now to improve my life? This is how you start breaking the mental loop. By focusing on your growth, you stop feeding her ego with your energy. A powerful technique is mindful observation. When thoughts of her come up, which they will, don't fight them. Simply observe them without judgment. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing by in the sky. Acknowledge them, then let them drift away. The more you practice this, the less control those thoughts will have over you. Another key element of detachment is emotional neutrality. This doesn't mean becoming numb or robotic. It means you don't let her actions dictate your mood. If she texts you, you don't get overly excited. If she ignores you, you don't get overly upset. You remain balanced, steady, and calm. This kind of emotional control is incredibly powerful and incredibly rare. Here's the beautiful irony when you truly detach. She often starts to chase. When she realizes her old tricks no longer affect you, her ego takes a massive hit. She expected you to beg, to react, to fight for her attention. Instead, you remain centered and unbothered. This forces her to confront a painful truth. She no longer has control over you. But remember, this isn't about manipulating her. Your goal is not to make her jealous or win her back. Your goal is to free yourself. Crushing her ego is simply a byproduct of your growth. Emotional detachment is the foundation of true strength. It's what separates men who are forever trapped in cycles of heartbreak from men who rise above them. When you master this skill, you no longer need to run from her or hide from her. Whether she's in your life or not, your peace remains untouched. And when you reach that level of inner strength, you'll realize something profound. It was never about her in the first place. It was always about you reclaiming the power you gave away. There is a very specific reason why many men fail to truly crush a woman's ego. After a breakup, they make their entire life about her. Even in her absence, they go no contact, but everything they do is still secretly tied to her. They hit the gym to show her what she lost. They post pictures online to make her jealous. They take trips, buy clothes, and level up their lifestyle. But deep down, their motivation is still her. And here's the problem. If everything you do is secretly about her, she's still in control. She may not see you, talk to you, or even think about you, but in your mind, she's still the center of your universe. That energy radiates from you, and even if you never say it out loud, women can feel it. When a woman senses that your progress is fueled by your need to prove something to her, her ego remains intact. She still believes she holds power over you. To truly crush her ego, and more importantly, to free yourself, you must begin to live for yourself and your purpose, not for her. This is what separates men who stay stuck from men who rise. When your life has a deeper mission that goes beyond her, beyond relationships, and beyond validation, you become untouchable. A purpose-driven life is not about surface-level improvements. It's not just about getting a better body, more money, or a cooler car. Those things are fine, but they are external. True purpose comes from within. It's about asking yourself, why am I here? What am I meant to do with this life? How can I grow, contribute, and leave a legacy? When you align your daily actions with a mission bigger than yourself, you stop being a man who is easily swayed by a woman's approval or rejection. You no longer crumble when she leaves or celebrate when she comes back, because your happiness no longer depends on her presence. Imagine this: she left you because she thought you were stagnant. Maybe she believed you lacked ambition or drive. In her mind, she saw you as predictable, safe, maybe even boring. That image of you is what fuels her ego, because it allows her to feel like she traded up by leaving you. Now imagine that months later, she sees a completely different man, not because you sent her updates or begged for her attention, but because your growth is undeniable and visible to the world. She hears from mutual friends that you've started a business. She notices through others that you've been traveling, networking, and expanding your circle. She sees, without you having to say a word, that you are now living a life full of excitement, direction, and meaning. This doesn't just bruise her ego, it shatters it. Why? Because she expected you to stay stuck. She expected you to sit in your pain, hoping she would come back. Instead, you've become a man she no longer recognizes. And that realization forces her to confront a painful truth: she underestimated you. The beauty of living a purpose-driven life is that it doesn't require games or manipulation. You're not posting photos to make her jealous. You're not dropping hints to show her how well you're doing. You're simply living so fully, so authentically, that it speaks for itself. Your energy shifts, people notice, opportunities come to you, and she eventually becomes aware of it, even without you trying. Here's another powerful aspect of purpose. It protects you from falling back into old patterns. When a man has no purpose, he's vulnerable to temptation. The moment she reaches out, he drops everything to respond because deep down, she's still his mission. But when you have a true calling, whether it's your career, fitness, a creative pursuit, or a personal goal, you no longer have time to chase her. You're too busy building something meaningful. A man with purpose doesn't sit around waiting for her text. He doesn't stalk her social media or wonder what she's doing. He's focused on his own path. And ironically, this is exactly what makes her come back. Not because you chased, but because you stopped caring. When she sees that you've built a life so rich and fulfilling that it doesn't revolve around her, she begins to question her own choices. Even if she never returns, your life remains powerful and fulfilling, because at the end of the day, this isn't about her at all. Crushing her ego is simply a natural result of you stepping into your true potential. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. The best way to make her realize your value is to stop trying to show her your value. Live your purpose so deeply and passionately that you don't need her or anyone else to validate it. When you live like that, her opinion becomes irrelevant. So stop asking yourself how to win her back. Start asking yourself how to win yourself back. When you devote yourself to your purpose, you become the kind of man who commands respect, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. And that, more than silence or no contact, is what truly shatters her ego. Many men think that improving themselves after a breakup means doing a few visible things to appear more attractive. They hit the gym for a few weeks, get a fresh haircut, maybe buy some new clothes, and post pictures online hoping she will notice. While these changes might grab attention for a moment, they rarely create a deep, lasting impact. Why? Because true transformation is never just about appearances. It's about fundamentally changing who you are and how you show up in the world. If you want to truly crush her ego, your growth must be strategic, not superficial. She needs to see, either directly or indirectly, that you are becoming a man she cannot ignore. This doesn't mean flaunting your progress in her face or trying to prove something to her. In fact, the more you try to show her, the less powerful your growth becomes. The key is to improve in ways that naturally radiate strength and confidence, so much so that she hears about it without you ever saying a word. Strategic self-improvement has 3 major layers: physical growth, mental growth, and social growth. Each layer builds upon the other, creating a version of you that commands respect and intrigue. 1. Physical growth, the foundation of presence. Let's be honest. Physical appearance matters, not just for how she sees you, but for how you see yourself. When you're out of shape, sluggish, or unhappy with your body, it affects your confidence and energy. That lack of confidence leaks into your interactions, making you appear insecure and needy. Start with your health. Create a consistent fitness routine and take your nutrition seriously. Don't just work out to look good for her or anyone else. Do it because discipline over your body builds discipline over your mind. Each time you push through a tough workout, you train yourself to handle discomfort and grow stronger, both physically and mentally. Over time, the results will become visible. People will notice, and yes, so will she. But the difference here is that you're not doing it to impress her. You're doing it because it's part of your new standard for yourself. This subtle shift in motivation is what makes it powerful. 2. Mental growth. The power she can't manipulate. A man who only grows physically may look strong, but if his mind is weak, he's still vulnerable. Women are incredibly intuitive, and they can sense when a man lacks emotional control. If she knows she can push your buttons, make you jealous, or trigger a reaction, she still holds power over you. To crush her ego, you must develop mental resilience. This means reading, learning, challenging yourself intellectually. Build a deep understanding of human psychology, relationships, and self-mastery. Practice emotional regulation through meditation, journaling, or breathwork. When you develop this inner strength, you stop reacting impulsively to her behavior. If she ignores you, you remain calm. If she tries to make you jealous, you don't flinch. If she suddenly texts you after weeks of silence, you respond, if you even respond at all, from a place of control, not desperation. This level of emotional stability is rare, and when she notices it, it shakes her ego to the core. She expected the same old you, the man who chased, argued, and begged for her attention. Instead, she finds someone unbothered, grounded, and unshakable. 3. Social growth. Expanding your value beyond her. The final layer of strategic self-improvement is your social network. Many men make the mistake of isolating themselves after a breakup. They stay home, cut off friends, and wallow in loneliness. This is exactly what feeds her ego, because she knows you're stuck while she's out living her life. Instead, do the opposite. Expand your circle. Meet new people, join new groups, and build valuable connections. This isn't about flaunting a new social life to make her jealous. It's about becoming a man whose presence is in demand. When you are surrounded by friends, mentors, and like-minded individuals, you project abundance instead of scarcity. You no longer cling to her because you have options and opportunities all around you. This naturally shifts the power dynamic. She begins to realize she's not the center of your universe anymore, and that realization is devastating to her ego. As your network grows, word of your progress will naturally reach her. Maybe she hears from a mutual friend that you've been traveling, excelling at work, or leading new projects. Maybe she sees pictures of you enjoying life, not because you posted them for her, but because you're genuinely living. This indirect exposure is far more powerful than direct bragging. The most important thing to remember is this strategic self-improvement is not about revenge or competition. It's not about making her jealous or proving her wrong. Those motives keep you stuck in her shadow. Instead, focus on becoming the man you've always wanted to be. Each improvement you make should come from a place of self-respect, not resentment. When you grow for yourself, not for her, your energy shifts in a way that can't be faked. And here's the beautiful irony: when you stop chasing her and start chasing your own potential, you become impossible to ignore. She will see, without you ever trying, that you have evolved into a man she can no longer control. This is what truly crushes her ego, not silence, not games, but undeniable, visible growth that radiates strength, independence, and purpose. When you rise like this, you don't just move past her, you rise above her. When a relationship ends, especially one where she left or pulled away, the power dynamic is almost always tilted in her favor. She feels in control because she made the decision to walk away or manipulate the situation, and you were left reacting. She knows you want her back, she knows you're hurting, and she knows you're watching her every move. This sense of control fuels her ego. It tells her, I can leave and he'll still be there waiting for me. As long as this dynamic remains, you can't truly free yourself. Even if you go no contact, even if you physically cut her off, if she still believes you are emotionally hooked, she's still winning. The key to crushing her ego isn't just about ignoring her, it's about reversing the dynamic entirely. She has to go from feeling like she holds the upper hand to realizing that she no longer has any power over you. This shift doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen through games or fake behaviors. It requires a complete transformation in how you see yourself and how you interact with her, or if you interact at all. Step 1 to stop playing her game, the first and most important move is to stop reacting to her tactics. Many women, consciously or unconsciously, will test you after a breakup. She might text you randomly to check in. She might post things on social media designed to make you jealous. She might even reach out with mixed signals, keeping you confused and hopeful. If you take the bait every time, you reinforce her ego. You're showing her that no matter what, she still controls your emotions. The only way to shift this dynamic is to stop engaging with the games entirely. That doesn't mean being rude or angry. It means being calm, collected, and consistent. If she texts, you don't drop everything to reply. If she posts something provocative, you don't even acknowledge it. Your lack of reaction sends a far louder message than any words ever could. Over time, she begins to notice that her old strategies no longer work. That realization plants the first seed of doubt in her mind. Wait, why isn't he reacting like before? Did I lose my grip on him? This is when the shift begins. Step 2A, replace dependence with independence. The original power imbalance came from you needing her more than she needed you. She was your source of validation, affection, and emotional stability. When she pulled away, your entire world crumbled. To turn the tables, you must replace that dependence with complete independence. This means building a life so rich and fulfilling that you no longer rely on her or anyone for your sense of self-worth. Start with your daily habits. Build routines that make you strong mentally and physically. Work on your fitness, career, and personal passions. Create new friendships and social connections that bring you joy and excitement. As your independence grows, your energy shifts. She will sense, even from a distance, that you are no longer waiting around for her. You are too busy living a life of abundance. This isn't something you can fake. It must be genuine. Step 3, create mystery through growth. One of the most powerful tools you have in shifting the dynamic is mystery. When she feels like she knows everything about you, she feels secure. She believes she can predict your every move. When you begin to grow and change in ways she didn't expect, you disrupt that security. Suddenly, you're doing things she never thought you'd do. Maybe you've started a new business, picked up a new skill, or surrounded yourself with new people. Here's the key: you don't announce these changes to her. You don't brag. You don't send updates. And you don't seek her reaction. Instead, let her find out indirectly through mutual friends, casual mentions, or glimpses online. This creates a powerful psychological effect. She begins to wonder, what else is he doing that I don't know about? Her mind fills in the blanks, often imagining far more than what's actually happening. This curiosity eats away at her ego because it forces her to face the possibility that you've moved beyond her reach. Step 4, reverse the chase. When the relationship ended, you were likely the one doing all the chasing. You begged, pleaded, or tried to convince her to stay. That dynamic gave her all the leverage. To turn the tables, you must reverse this dynamic entirely. That doesn't mean playing manipulative games to make her chase you. It means becoming the kind of man she naturally wants to pursue. When you've built independence, confidence, and mystery, something powerful happens. She begins to feel the absence of your attention. At first, she may try subtle ways to test if she can still get a reaction from you. When those fail, her ego takes a hit. She may start reaching out more directly, trying to reestablish her position in your life. And here's where the ultimate shift happens. You don't respond with desperation or excitement. You respond from a place of calm strength, or you don't respond at all. Either way, she realizes the old version of you is gone. Step 5B, become the prize. The final stage of shifting the power dynamic is internal. It's about truly believing deep in your core that you are the prize. Most men unconsciously place women on a pedestal, especially the one who hurt them. They see her as special, unique, irreplaceable. This mindset gives her ego unlimited power. But when you fully embrace your own value, when you truly see yourself as the prize, everything changes. You stop needing her to validate you because you already know your worth. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't compromise your boundaries. Ironically, this is when she begins to feel the exact emotions you once felt: uncertainty, longing, and fear of loss. The dynamic has completely flipped. She went from being the one in control to the one trying to figure out how to win you back. By shifting the power dynamic in this way, you don't just crush her ego, you reclaim your freedom. You stop living in reaction to her and start living on your own terms. And when that happens, she no longer defines your life. Whether she comes back or not becomes irrelevant, because you've already won the most important battle, the one within yourself.